MAFEX arm test commence. That's looking good. Hold in there, buddy. Okay, you pass. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today, let's take a look at the Medicom MAFEX DC Batman Hush Superman. Hush Superman. And much like what I probably said at the first of the MAFEX Hush Batman review, it's been a while, I can't remember that far back, I've been waiting for a good classic rendition of this character, of Superman. And while the Hush storyline isn't as classic as other big events in the DC universe, this took it back to that classic look. So if I can get a modern rendition of those classic covers, then I'm good with it. Plus, I always kind of eyeballed those DC Direct figures back in the day, the Hush Batman, and Nightwing, and Harley Quinn, and Joker, and I'm not going to go through the whole list. Shh, hush. But I was always collecting something else, or I didn't like how limited the articulation was. Hopefully, Medicom remedies that. Looking at the package, it's what we're used to with the MAFEX line. You have a big logo of Batman Hush, a pretty promotional picture, a window showing the figure, some of the accessories, there's some hidden back in there. On the other side, another promotional shot, more logos. On the back, even more promotional shots showing what it comes with, some various poses. That creepy ass bear staring at me. Quit looking at me, bear. On the other side, big logo, more promotional shot. On the top, same thing, a little bit of window. On the bottom, bunch of legalese, some warnings, don't put them in your mouth. UPC, that hologram sticker that no one can replicate in the world. But let's get this open, see what's going on here. There's a nice graphic on the back of the package. I like how it's kind of dark to emphasize how dark it gets inside the boxes. There's the Medicom stand as usual. And really, we go over this every time. I don't much care for these stands. They're short. The clamp isn't the greatest. Guess you can float a little above the ground. Plus they have the screws that you can tighten up in case it's too loose, it doesn't hold the weight of the figure or something. It's adequate. How's that? Let's put it that way. A little protective piece of plastic in the torso articulation. I never know how to get it out without tearing it up and leaving little pieces inside of there. Oh, okay, cool. And the name of the game here is fun. Pure and simple toy joy. This is exactly what I wanted out of this Superman figure. A lot of posability, but a simplicity to the whole thing. And I say simplicity because this is the classic costume. Skin tight blue all over the body, showing all the musculature. Have some boot tops sculpted in with the extra line, with the seam up top. Nothing fancy with the feet, just some soles sculpted in. You can see the heel and everything. Classic red trunks on top of that. Yellow belt going through belt loops. They even put belt loops on the back. Nothing much else on the back except for those muscles. The abs, the pecs, the biceps. It's just right out there for you to see. The shield is sculpted in all the way around, then the S inside of the shield. This is the biggest thing that sticks out at me as paint slop. Because of the sharp edges around the S, that sticks out like a sore thumb. And then the yellow misses the belt loop just a bit, but it all comes down to that. But I love the shade of red used, and I love the baby blue. We've seen lots and lots of Supermans over the years. Most of them go for a darker blue. It's not bad, it's not wrong, but I wanted this light blue. And at first you think it's pretty plain, but it does have some shading down in the grooves of the musculature. Just enough to bring out the details when you have a brighter light on it. And then there's the head. MAFEX has gotten pretty good at translating comic book page to plastic form. The sculpt of the hair, the spit curl, the eyes painted in underneath. There's the black in the hair, but the blue highlights just like a comic book. Slight color to the lips just to bring those out, but it's all about the eyes. That's what draws your eye. Well, besides the angry scowl, this Superman is just sick of your shit. And yes, looking at the overall figure, the head does seem small, but that's an old comic book trick. If you want a big, muscular, powerful looking body, you shrink the cranium. And really, you bring in the Hush Batman and, well, okay, maybe Batman's head is slightly larger. Again, it's that illusion that they're going for. There was also a lot of discussion whether the two figures reuse parts. I don't think they do. Superman is slightly more bulky and just barely taller. A lot of people had a problem with the Hush Batman cape. It was just too much. It was too big. Too many wires, and it was snapping out of the front for some people too. Here they made sure it was not going to come out of the front, or at least it'd be harder for it to snap out of the front piece. The pecs are a separate piece, and they sandwiched the cape in between there and then glued it all down. So much so that you can see some residue here and there. But I love the cape. They put the yellow S shield on the back. The wires run down the sides. It's not draped all the way to the floor. It holds its own weight. And I like that they simplified it down. but it almost sticks up by itself in the middle. The wires hold the edges down, but then everything in the middle is free to do whatever the hell it wants. But at the same time, it also causes that bunchiness around Superman's neck area that I also like. And that may also add to the pinheadedness. But basically, you can get it wherever you want. A couple of nitpicks I've noticed as I'm messing around. The right leg is seated differently than the left. I don't think it's a length problem. But when I stand them straight up and down, the hips are usually kind of angled down this way. But that's easy enough. Pull the right leg down just slightly, straightens it out. Also, right out of the package, I was thinking, oh man, the left leg, that goes straight. The right leg, not so much. What's actually happening here is there's this slight cutout. You bring it straight, there's a pop to it, and then you can straighten the leg out. Well, it's not perfectly dead on straight, but it's straighter than it was. But those are all just snags. If I had one complaint, I would say the yellow is a bit pale. I love the light blue. I love the shade of red. Then the yellow seems dull against it. You don't notice it so much back here against the shining, shimmering splendor of the cape. I was about to go into articulation, crank on the head, and I realized mine, it's not glued in again. The other head, it's glued in, and that's the way it is with a lot of other MAFEX figures too. Here, I don't know, it just kind of slides on and off. I could glue it myself, but at the same time, when I'm posing, it gives me just a little bit more reach. Probably not enough to matter. But with that slid off, you can see the dumbbell joint in the neck going up to the head, and then a ball joint down at the bottom of the neck that is kind of tight. You can look not as much up as I'd like Superman, but that's not bad. Can vary the chin. So much tilt. Swivels. There's a ball joint at the shoulder with this cover piece. You can raise up. You can raise down. Raise down makes no sense. Lower down. Forward. Back. I usually hate when the arms can't go down to the sides of the body, but this is Superman. He's big. He's bulky. On the end of that, there's a hinge that comes up to there. Swivels all the way around. Oh, a little squeaky. Same squeakiness at the bicep swivel. Double elbow comes up most of the way. Swivel hinge swivel at the wrist, so you up and down. But if you want to turn it and bring it here, side to side, wherever you want to go. Ball joint mid-torso, ball joint at the waist. Together, you can crunch pretty much all the way. But watch out, in the back, it goes so far that if you crank it, that likes to get stuck under here when you try to come back. That's because the crotch cover is a rubbery piece. There's a drop down to the legs, coming out to a ball joint where you can bring the leg all the way up. Back out. Oh, yeah, better than some Spider-Mans. Shift that back up. There is rotation on that ball joint up in there. Double knee. Oh, not quite. Rotate around, he can kick his other super cheek though. Same setup at the ankle as the wrist. There's a swivel, there's a hinge, there's a swivel coming forward down into the foot. With that, you can hinge back, hinge forward. Forward facing pin is slightly hard. If you want super tilt, you can turn that hinge and get it in position to go all the way in. And then a toe joint goes all the way up. For accessories, Superman comes with 2 fists. Of course he does. He comes with 2 flat palms. He comes with 2 relaxed hands. There's 2 splayed out hands. And then there's 2 hands with the thumbs slightly separated to hold things, I guess. I don't know. We saw that on the Hush Batman. Wasn't that to hold batarangs? Oh no, it's to hold his cape. There's a slight pop when you take the hand off. The other one, not a problem. Slides right on. Put that between the thumb, like he's holding it. I said Hush Batman was a while back. I forgot about that. Also comes with some ivy pieces. Pretty good sculpt. I like the little details to it, but it's just a plain green thrown on. Well, it's cast in green. I don't know if there's a left and right. I've got them to go on both sides. You do have to take the hands off. You slide up there, then pop the hand on after it. And then the neck has an opening on the front that you go around right there. And all 3 together, it adds another color to the palette here. This green popping out, it's interesting. Hell Caesar. We looked at the head that was on the body in the package. There's also this alternate head with some red, about to shoot some I-beam eyes with some gritted teeth. With mine, anyway, pull off there, and then you have to pull off the insert piece from the top. And then the other one just popped right on. The hair on this one seems slightly more black. I don't know if they did that on purpose to make it look more menacing. Not that black hair is menacing, to add to the darkness. And then finally, there's an alternate hand for Batman with a kryptonite ring sculpted on it. So much shelf presence. I love it. Superman stands at about 6¼ inches tall to, well, somewhere in that hairdo. And standing next to Batman, there's not quite as much size difference as, well, what I would have pictured, but he is a bit taller. You can see that the shoulders get all this Batman cape off. Batman's are a little lower than Superman, but then the head size difference puts him closer. Bruce, elongated a bit. Still, just a fantastic pairing. Here it is next to the DC Direct or Collectibles or whatever they were calling themselves at the time. Icon Superman and Batman. Then here's a Mattel DC Universe Classics or Multiverse again, whatever they were calling themselves. Superman and Classic Batman. World's Greatest Detective. McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line is 7-inch, but I gotta do the comparison, right? And the same goes for the NECA Toys Superman and Batman. Is everybody leaning one way or the other today? But veering back to the 1/12 scale, here it is with the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Stormtrooper and the Marvel Legends Black Panther. So at the end of the day, I think I said the same thing about the Hush Batman too, but this is now my display Superman. This is everything I wanted in a figure of this character. I know some people have preconceived notions when it comes to this line, and it has had problems in the past, but for the most part, they've worked through those. Some still pop up every now and then, but when it comes to Superman, none of that is present. Yes, I pointed out some difficulties with the articulation and posing, but it's nothing broken. It's nothing that doesn't work. Really, it's just that little pinch of red bleeding over into the yellow on the S-shield. That is really my only complaint. Like I said, I'd always look at the DC Direct Hush figures back in the day. In the comic shop, hunting for my Star Wars, I'd look over and those look pretty good. But now I'm getting those in the same shape, in the same look, but with articulation. Those were action figures, whereas they had some joints in their statue look, but this right here, this is an action figure. So of course, I put him in a straight up and down pose, just standing there. But in my mental images of Superman, he doesn't need to go into all those action type poses. He can, and I like seeing him like that, but to me, Superman just stands there, and if action is needed, he does it. Even in neutral position, this figure looks badass. So if you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or just in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. And my biggest gripe is the slop on the yellow and the shade of the yellow. What if I came in here and painted it like a slightly darker maybe, or something more dynamic than this yellow? That way I could fix that problem, but would it stick to the rubberiness of the trunks? I may just leave it like this and call it a day.